Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be talking about, or rather, the last video today, we're going to be talking about specifically on, exactly on what's going on in, I would say, uh, multiverse and what's happening to the game. Not necessarily anything too bad, but there is a lot of something that's pertaining to culture. And this is the reason why. Notice why some people are noticing like culture thing kind of popping up a bit more in terms of besides politics and news is mostly because of the fact that a lot of this is culture related. I try to do politics and news just in general and men's world obviously, which is being left behind, but that in particular, it is a culture. I want to know culture war, and we're trying to fight back and push us against this type of stuff. So, that being said, I'm going to show some articles here on exactly what's going on and see how we can potentially fight back against this type of stuff and maybe come to a conclusion on what's the issue here. So we have Velma no longer calls the police on other fighters in multiverse. On virus and multiverses after a special move is met with scrutiny on social media. Velma's cop calling attack in multiverse has been changed to summoning the Mystery Machine after a smattering of discussion and jokes. While Velma may not be as wild as other cartoon characters in Scooby-Doo, the franchise she actually stems from in multiverse has plenty of weird and wonderful moves. She can batter foes with a flash of her flashlight or camera, light bulbs appearing above her head when she has a good idea with the math out shot of a calculator, freezing chemicals thrown onto the ground, and yelling sassy world bubbles or through a megaphone. Torrents of projectile size, the move that's gotten some people in a tizzy, is where she calls the cops. The move's description reportedly states Velma finds out who they really are and calls the police. Sure enough, after collecting enough evidence, Velma can call a police car, showing them a wanted poster of Mr. Jenkins. Speech bubbles then appear above one or more opposing characters' heads, revealing they are Mr. Jenkins in disguise, akin to the original cartoon's Monster of the Week. The police car then moves towards marked opponents. When it catches up to them, a silhouette of the character can be seen on the black seat, with the imposter marker changing to show the character behind bars as the police car attempts to hurl off the stage. As the prompt to call the police above Velma's head was shared by the Bastion, others on Twitter mocked it by comparing it to Karen's slang term attributed to demanding women who widely escalate things that inconvenience them, which hypothetically include calling the police for a minor or petty matter. Others called it a white woman move or joked the move would be more effective against black characters. Others instead opted for those accused of a crime, such as characters in the game due to their actions in their respective shows, or even in game for assaulting Velma or a certain fighting game communities due to prior cases of sexual abuse, blah 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 blah, famous characters, what have you. So, while the vast majority seem to be joking about it rather than making accusations of racism, Polygon took the matter more seriously in this report. Is that a funny idea and concept? Of course it is. Is it funny in the practice to watch a car roll up and start wreaking havoc in the year 2022 in a game with black characters, including real-world people like LeBron James? No, not so much, Polygon proposed. They claim that the trust in the American police force is at an all-time high. They later insist it's clear now to many Americans, although it has been long obvious to marginalize and oppress folks in this country, that the police are not the good guys they are depicted as in shows like Scooby-Doo. With a petition asking for the police to be replaced with the Mystery Machine only reached 34 signatures, a fraction compared to those asking for Walter White to be in the game or to make Velma thick again. Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment developer player for games active in the discussion around the move. The open beta season patch notes, blah 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 blah. And arguably are similar move. Epic Games removed police cars from Fortnite in 2020. Blah 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 blah. So, what is going on here is that the woke mob is saying that police are bad and we have all these issues with the police or what have you. And I agree. There are police that are actual scumbags. There are police that do not help the people but only hurt the people. Hence why when I call for police reform, I don't actually mean to fund the police and I give the police resources to actually do their jobs. But by reform, I mean redoing on exactly how the police can operate and redoing on how police need to be able to function in today's society so that less people have their constitutional rights breached and the fact that the police are up to date on laws and everything so they don't fuck things up and go through an actual screening of them actually knowing these things. If not, they are withheld or fired, whatever will have you, until they can at least either fired or they are put on unpaid leave until they can actually learn the actual learn the actual law, because we need to put them under higher standard, because they abuse their power immensely. And if they are caught in doing any of these type of activities, or if there is a police officer that is seeing their mate not doing something horrendous, then they are also fired as well, because they are accomplices in this matter. We need more police reform and better of it, not in fact of this type of insanity that we have with defunding the police, because that's not the way we go about things. And also, I was on to say that we have issues with this. Scooby-Doo's Velma branded as Karen for calling police in the video game by the Washington Post. These guys are not very credible, so I don't really like doing this, but they kind of point this stuff out a little bit by when they call the police and all that stuff. However, we have other issues here that that are pertaining to these problems. Now, we know that the police are not always the greatest, right? Obviously, we have bad police and we have good police. I would like to say that the majority of good police, there are much good police in this society than there are bad, but of course the bad take over the good. But I still believe that police reform needs to be had, because we have a lot of issues in place and this needs to be discussed. Except that this is being discussed, we just have one side, which would be the Republican side, saying that, okay, we just need police full stop. Okay, well, we're not going to talk about the actual reform or some of the issues that the police portray. And then we have the far left, or the Democratic side, where they say we have to defund the police entirely, which is not how that works, because we see a massive surge in crime, which I will be showing to people. So we have both sides that are going to just keeping one side and not actually trying to fix some of the issues that people have issues with the police. They will have one side that's just going to completely eliminate the police altogether by defunding them, which doesn't help at all. So that being said, they're both extremes to the one side, and we need to go into the center a little bit and try to mend some of the issues that we have. Not defund the police, but at least reform, which would be the best. And when people say, "Oh, we were just asking for reform the police," no, you weren't. Because if you were talking about reforming the police, you wouldn't have active Democrats defunding them, okay? So that's not what we're talking about here. And you won't go into talks of actually what the reform message is and stuff like that. So miss me with that bullshit, all right? But you also have here that Portland, or once among safest cities, struggles to cut homicide rate. Oregon's largest city shows the difficulty law enforcement faces in trying to curb violent crime. And this is all due to, let's see here, we might actually be able to find it. I can't type, apparently. So, normally what we do here is when we try to do this on the channel, I do this very rarely, but I try to do this more frequently to try to find exactly what we need here. Everything can go negatively very quickly. It takes a long time to bring it down, said James, assistant of the Chief Portland Police Bureau's investigation branch. There are an immense amount of homicides and all that stuff. And we have now, then brought 2020, the pandemic, as well as protests for cuts in police funding that were frequently accompanied by looting and property violence. So yeah, we have people that were obviously doing property violence and stuff like that. And this is what has been in the increase of the skyrocketing of, we would say, the struggles to cut homicide rate and stuff like that. So this is a huge issue in Oregon, Portland. Then we have this here as well, to where we're screwed. Seattle hemorrhages police officers amid massive crime spike. Defunds police speed plus at least 50%, and we have these issues here. So we have Seattle is having this problem, and then we have major crime. Which particular here, we have major crime continues to surge in New York City, up to 30% this year. New police data. So we have a huge problem there. And this is another place which was defunding the police. And we have here as well, to where we have LA's crime surge migrates to wealthy wires ZIP codes. So we're having a surge of crime, and a lot of these places we all know we're calling for defund the police. This is a problem. And it's all roots back and goes back to this multiverse game here. To where we have Velma, and specifically is that where they're trying to demonize police to the point to where it's even affecting games. This is not okay. We cannot have this. We need to win the culture war, because this is okay. Police do help protect. We understand that there are bad police officers out there, but to label this as all police being bad is a complete insanity, and we need to be able to fix this kind of issue. We also have this here where we have Sonia Mont over 11 million global social justice fund, 30K placed in career pathways program scholarships for historically disadvantaged communities. Sony Entertainment has been mocked over the Global Social Justice Fund and PlayStation Career Pathways program. Earlier this month, Tiffany, of course, is a female, obviously, that has to be black, and head of diversity, equity, and inclusion, announced an update to SIE's ongoing Global Social Justice Fund, which was established in 2020 to support social justice and anti-racist initiatives around the world. CIE had already been given $11 million to advance race equity within the gaming industry and beyond. Johnson now detailed the company's social justice initiative and PlayStation Career Pathways program, which is supporting organizations' efforts focusing on strengthening educational and career opportunities to historically disadvantaged communities. Johnson explained, "Our agenda is to drive a new era of creativity, development, and growth in the gaming industry that allows more diversity and representation." Blah, 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 blah. So now we see here how these companies are trying to infiltrate the gaming world and in this type of woke culture, type of type of stuff that's going on. We need to fight back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why we have issues. And of course, when people are going to see this video, whatever, they're going to see me fight back. They're also going to be probably going to say, "Oh, you mean war? You mean civil war? Do you want to fight people? You want to kill people?" No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is we need to fight back. We need to fight back in a way by voting, calling out people, not being scared, have courage to be able to do so. I understand that people's jobs are on the line, but if we don't fight back, we won't have a country, we won't have safety in our country. We'll be a third world country within the next couple of decades if we don't be able to fight back this type of lunacy. So this is what we have here. I understand everything's hard, people, and we're at an all-time of this type of issue. But the culture isn't affecting our games, it's affecting everything. If we don't fight back, this is what we're going to have. We're seeing issues, and everything that we see here, that what I have shown you, it ties back to all whatever these articles we have portrayed. And unfortunately, I don't like it. And I don't think you guys do either. Democrat or Republican, for that matter. Alright guys, like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.